Hello there, chess video fans. This is Keene-Miles again with another, well, I wouldn't call this a classic game, but a worthy game. This is from the 1982 British Championship in Torquay, and this is between Grandmaster Ray Keene and Keene-Miles. Tony was Britain's first Grandmaster, but he was actually in a heated battle with Ray Keene to see who would get there first, and Tony actually beat Ray by a couple of months. They were very close. So there was always a rivalry between these two guys. And this game, you'll hear some comments by Tony later, and you'll hear kind of his attitude towards Ray. But I guess it was a good-natured rivalry from what I gather. I'm not sure if what Ray's side of the story is. Now, one thing about Tony was that he did very well in these international tournaments, but he had a mental block when it came to playing other British players. And before this game, his record against Keene was rather poor. I think he had lost 3 games and drawn 1 or 2 others. So this was the first game he had actually beaten Keene, and it was also the first time he had won the British Championship. He considered this his best game from the 1982 British Championship. So let's continue on here. Keene was white, and he opened d4, knight to f6, c4, e6, and knight to f3. Tony said that when Ray played this, he knew he was looking for a draw, because when he wants to win, he normally would play knight to c3 in this position. b6 was played, g3, and we're in some kind of a Queen's Indian defense. Bishop to b4 check. Tony said he wasn't sure why he played this, but he did, and there's nothing wrong with the move. Exchanges off pieces. If he was playing to win, I'm a little surprised by the choice. You would think he'd want to keep more pieces on. But anyway, this seems to suit Keene's plan of getting a draw, I would think. These moves were played. Bishop a6, pressuring the c-pawn and indirectly the e2 pawn. Now Ray plays a slightly odd move, knight to a3, and this knight is not terribly well placed here. Castles, but now instead of castles, he could have played, Miles could have played bishop to b7, and that would have equalized. He played castles anyway, and white castled. d5. Wait a minute, excuse me, I think I got lost somewhere. Let's go back here. Knight to a3, castles. Bishop to g2, and c6. Miles criticized this move. He said bishop to b7 would have been better, but he's preparing d5. White castles, d5, knight to e5. Miles criticized this move. He said rook to ac1 with the idea of doubling on the c-file would have given an edge to white. So he played knight to e5, and Miles didn't want to leave that knight on e5. Excellent post, so he moves his knight to d7 to exchange it off, which Keene duly did. Rook to ac1, rook to c8. Now, Keene played c to d5, but rook to c2 with the idea of doubling, as mentioned before, was better according to Miles. C takes d5, c takes d5. Rook to c8, queen to c8. And now, Miles assesses the position as better for black. This is due to his bishop on a6 being better than the bishop on g2, and his knight on d7 being better than the knight on a3. Although, it's a very slight edge, I would think. Okay. Continuing on. With c1, queen to b8. Now here, Keene played e3, but better would have been bishop to f1, because it's a more flexible move. First of all, the bishop's not doing anything on g2 except biting on some granite. On f1, he could challenge the black's good bishop on a6. He also shores up the e-pawn and also retains the option of where the e-pawn should go to e3 or e4. So it's a slight inaccuracy. e3, knight to f6. And now I will turn over the commentary to Keene-Miles. Hopefully this will sound okay. I'm not sure about the audio quality. This was recorded at the ceremony immediately, or the party after the closing ceremony of the tournament, and he's being interviewed by Mike Basman, and I wanted to include it because it gives you a sense of his irreverent sense of humor, and also exactly what he was thinking in the game. I guess this game had just been played. Well, I'm not sure if it was the last game of the tournament. I'm not sure which round it was in. Oh no, it says it was round 6, so it was an earlier game. But anyway, this is Tony speaking about the position. I'll try to keep up with him on the board.
So now, Keene had the brilliant idea, as you have mentioned, of sacrificing his queen.
Oh, this is going to be exciting.
No, it isn't. He played bishop f1. I played knight to e4, attacking the queen, and he played queen c2.
Queen c2.
Doubling on the c-file, so I played rook c8 to evict him, and he played bishop takes bishop on a6.
Gee, that's brilliant.
No, it isn't. It's stupid.
Well, what else could he have done?
He could have moved his queen, and been just a little bit worse as he was anyway.
Now he's much worse.
Now he's much worse. Now I played rook takes queen,
yeah,
and he played rook takes rook.
Did you know he was much worse?
Yes.
You did. Okay.
Some time before. And now I was rather hoping he would play this, because it seemed a suitably stupid thing to do. So now I brought my knight from e4 to d6 to defend the c8 square. And he played knight...
this game because you understood the position better than Raymond.
I think that had something to do with it, yes.
Yes, I'm trying
Perhaps
to find
you
out
could
how you
consult him later.
Sorry, okay, carry on.
Just natural brilliance.
Yes. Knight d6.
Right, knight d6 and white played knight to b5. Now at this point I can keep my queen by playing king to f8. However, I thought that the position with knights exchange would be very difficult to win. So I rather hoped that he would play the minor piece ending, and consequently I played knight takes knight on b5. Now, if he recaptures the knight, I think white can probably draw this ending. I'd intended to play g5 then, to keep some play on the king side and stop him playing h4.
The attacking
Yes. However, he was gullible and played rook c8 check to win the queen back. So I took that with my queen, and he recaptured with his bishop, and then I played knight d6.
Well, a weak player like me would consider that the position was fairly even, but how is it that you consider it so good for you?
Well,
what makes it so strong, Tony?
It's that stupid bishop on c8, Mike.
But it can move to a6.
But then I play b5, and it doesn't get back in a hurry.
a4.
And I take it and I've won a pawn.
Oh, I see. Sorry, what
I can also play... that's what he did. That's how the game went.
Okay.
Okay, so he played bishop a6. I played b5. He played b3.
Momento. Why didn't he go bishop d7 instead of...
I can still... If he plays bishop d7, I can either play b5 with the same idea.
Yeah.
Or, another interesting idea is to play a5.
Yes.
And then his bishop can't go to a4 because I'll play knight c4, forcing b3. And then move the knight away, and his bishop on a4 won't get back into the game.
Yes, it's a very sad bishop. Okay, now we rejoin the game with the bishop on a6, and Tony has just played b5. Brilliant move.
So now, as you so correctly recommended, Mr. Keene decided to try and extricate his bishop with b3. Here I played king f8, and he played a4. Now at this point, my original intention, or hope, was that by exchanging on a4 and bringing my king quickly to the queen side, well, I might win. However, in the middle, he plays his bishop to d3, attacking my h-pawn, and can possibly take it.
Gaining a vital tempo.
Yes, and when my king reaches a5, the white king reaches b3, and he holds the position.
Yeah.
Now, b4 is also good for black, but I found a more accurate move by playing king to e7.
But that just loses a pawn.
No, well, it sacrifices a pawn.
Can't he just play bishop takes pawn, knight takes bishop, pawn takes, winning a pawn?
Yes, but then I play king d6 to c7 to b6 takes b5.
That's a long variation.
Yes. By which time he brings his king to c3.
Yeah.
Then we exhaust moves on the king side.
Yes.
I play king a5.
Yes.
If he plays b4, I play king a4.
Yes.
He must move his king, I play king b4.
That wins a pawn if his pawn's on b4.
No. So he doesn't put his pawn on b4.
Yeah.
He plays king c2, I play king b4. He plays king b2.
Yeah.
I play a6. He plays king c2. I play king a3. He plays king c3.
Yes, you play a5? Or not?
I play a5. He plays king c2, king a2, king c3, king b1, b4, a4. I queen with check and win.
That's brilliant.
So it is, Mike. I'm glad you appreciate the true subtlety of my play now.
I think it is very impressive. How long did you spend working that out?
About half an hour, I think.
About half an hour.
But that was also working out the other variations which occurred in the game, which are much more interesting. That, of course, is rather trivial, and I'm surprised you didn't spot it immediately.
Okay, I hope you followed all that. I will go over it again briefly here. So king e7 is what he played. And then takes b5. And it's a couple of interesting variations here. Instead of a takes b5, he could have played king to f1, king d7, a takes b5, king to c7, king to e2, king to b6, king to d3, king to a5, king to c3, knight takes b5, bishop takes b5, king takes b5, h3. This is where the exhaust the moves on the king side. King to a5, king to c2, king to b4, king to b2, a6, king to c2, king to a3, king to c3. It's a very good king and pawn endgame principles at work here. a5, king to c2, king to a2, king to c3, king to b1. And white is more or less in Zugzwang here. He can play f3 in this position, or some sort of move like that. And then f5 comes, king to d2, king to b2, and the pawn falls. And the other line that he discussed was after a takes b5 is, bishop takes b5, knight takes b5, a takes b5, king to d7, king to f1, king to c7, king to e2, king to b6, king to d3, king to b5, and this is winning for Miles. We'll go a little bit further here, exhausting moves on the king side. And he wins. Okay, so I hope that cleared up Miles's commentary there. So, anyway, this is I'm going to go back to this position here. Excuse me. Knight to d6. Okay, this is right after the queen has been recaptured, and knight to d6. This is what I find fascinating about this game, was this position. It's a very simple looking position, but Miles, his evaluation of this position was much better than Keene's. Keene considered it, going into this being fairly equal. As Basman points out, it looks very equal, but as a matter of fact, the knight dominates the position. He dominates the bishop, rather. And although it's not an immediate win, it's a very good endgame for black. And Miles' subtle appreciation of the fine points of endgame play were what netted him the point. And this is what I found most instructive, was this bishop versus knight drama here. So I'm going to go back to the game continuation. I hope you managed to keep all that track of all of that. It might have been a little confusing. So this is the game continuation. He played bishop a6, and then b5. Of course, this is trapping the bishop temporarily, and this is what Keene had failed to appreciate. So Keene plays b3 with the idea of playing a4 and getting his bishop out. Miles brings his king over, a4, king to e7. We looked at some of the other variations earlier. King to b7, a takes b5. And now here, Miles played what he considered to be a very good move. He played knight to e4. And b6 is, he's threatening, he's got problems with his bishop. So b6 is forced to get his bishop back in the game. A takes b6. Bishop takes d3. Knight to d2. You see the b pawn is on prise. He has to move it. Knight to f3 check. And he had calculated. Actually, he said he could have also played e5 here. Let's look at e5 instead of knight to f3 check. And something like this would have occurred. And Miles considered that good for him. He's got an edge in the position. It's not outright win. Instead, he played knight to f3 check. King to h1. h6. Bishop to e2. Knight to d2. Exclam. King to g2. King to d6. And now b5. Exclam. Now he could have played f4. This is exclam for Keene. He could have played f4 with some interesting variations. Knight to c4, king to f2, king c6. That's winning because he'll get to, the king will get to b5 and win the c pawn. So you can look at some continuations here. e4, knight to d6, e5, knight to f5, b5 check, king to c7, bishop to d3, knight to d4, king to e3, knight to b3, bishop c2, knight to c5, g4, g6, h4, king to d7, f5, g5, h takes g5, h takes g5, king to d4, king to e7, bishop to b1, king to d8, fe6, fe6, king to c3, knight to d7, king to d4, king to e7, bishop to a2, knight to c5, bishop to b1, king to f7, bishop c2, king g7, bishop to d1, knight to d7, bishop c2, king h6, bishop to d3. And this position is an advantage for black, although I'm not quite sure how he would make progress in this position. Certainly he's not losing. And white has problems with his bishop, is not good. He's got two pawns on white squares that really limit his mobility, whereas the black knight can come to c5 and can actually go and has got pressure on the e pawn too. So definitely black is better. So this is one variation. Let's go back here. So after f4 again, this is still a variation in the game that didn't occur in the game. Knight c4, king f2. And we have another interesting variation. Instead of king, after king c6, he could have played, we looked at e4 in this position before, but he could have taken the knight, and then d takes c4, king to f3, king to d5, and black wins. He wins the pawn endgame. Okay, so none of that happened. After king to d6, Keene played b5, as I mentioned before. Miles gave this an exclam. Miles plays e5, bishop to d1, king to e6, f3. Miles thought this was a little dubious. Knight to c4, king to f2, knight to d6. Well, actually, Miles had another possibility here. He could have played e takes d4, knight to d6, bishop to a4, knight to f5, or he could have played h5, and black stands well. After knight to f5, G4. Yes, actually, this is the problem. Knight to F5 would have been a mistake, because after G4, knight takes D4, question mark, king E3 wins because the knight's trapped. But Miles had seen this and didn't play the line. So going back to the game, after king to F2, Miles played knight to D6, and then Keene was running short of time, and he makes a blunder in time trouble, plays D takes E5, king takes E5, F4 check, king to E6, bishop to B3, knight to E4 check, and Keene resigned because after king to G2, for instance, king to D6, and G4, knight C3, white is going to lose his B pawn. King can come to C5, and it's an easy win for Miles. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that game. I hope it was clear. I'm not sure. I have more of these tapes that I can put the audio excerpts in, but I'm not sure it might be good. If it's a good idea, it can be a little confusing, and I'm not sure about the audio quality. So we'll have to see how it ends up. So let me know what you think, and thank you for listening.